I'm Karen Klansek. I work for Pinnacle Foods Incorporated. I'm a senior manager for food safety and quality, particularly responsible for supplier approvals and supplier performance management for the entire organization. How did I discover TraceGains in the beginning? We were looking about a half a dozen years ago now at a number of different sources to automate document collection, get rid of folders and hierarchies, and even SharePoint wasn't cutting it under the new FSMA regs. So we landed on TraceGains because they had the combination of already set up code and what we want for ourselves at Pinnacle Foods. We are capable of 100% configurable changes. So rather than a business model that has us pay for every little change, we're in charge of how the system's configured and therefore how it works for us. The thing that set TraceGains apart from some of the other competitors that we were comparing it to was that combination of enough setup in the system so that we weren't starting from one of your competitors starts from basically an Excel spreadsheet. I'm serious. Okay, so TraceGains has the infrastructure set up in its code already. However, some of your other competitors, everything's coded. So what you can configure as a customer is extremely limited. Not only that, you've either got to pay for every little change or you've got to get other customers of that software to agree that they all want the same change. Now you can either split the cost, or if you're lucky, they'll see it as an industry advantage and therefore do it for nothing. With TraceGains, where we have the one-offs, where we have a regulatory group that answers for everything from baked goods to pickles to organic foods and simple ingredient items, we got a lot of differences. We can configure those ourselves and then have supplier groups and item groups that really bucket what we're looking for. The implementation process, which is, like I mentioned, about a half a dozen years ago now, went well. And it went well because there really was a lot of attention paid to us. Phone calls were answered. We weren't at the mercy of send a question to a help desk, hope to get an answer that's somewhat related to the question you asked. We had real live people. At Pinnacle, they said the first thing we want you to do is put a supplier register together. I had done that at PepsiCo, at Coca-Cola. Wasn't worried about the assignment until I got there and found out the reason they were asking for a supplier register is because nobody had done the work in order to have that information put together. So, not only were you talking about file folders and hierarchies and/or SharePoint as an option, talk about nobody actually knew the location. We know every one of the locations. It's in the thousands of suppliers who provide us ingredients. It's across the globe. We have suppliers on virtually every continent, maybe not Australia, but we sell product there. So we went from less than nothing to now having a system. So not only are we away from the file folder hierarchy, not only are we broader than SharePoint, for which user access is typically something you got to ask for and get Now we have a system that everybody has access to in the enterprise. There isn't anybody we turn away in the entire 17 plants, 2 corporate headquarters, located in 2 countries. If you want to see what's in TraceGains and you're a part of the Pinnacle enterprise, you're going to have view access if you want it. And that's something that simply never existed before. It's not a portal, it's a platform. And it's not a one-to-one, it's a one-to-many. And so there are advantages. So one of the other activities going on now that we have procurement engaged in this, we're adding it into contract language. It has now been incorporated in our supplier expectation manual, that TraceGains is the platform that they'll be responsible for answering corrective action report requests, or CARs. It is the platform that they'll be responsible for providing documents to. And fortunately, we have a lot of cooperation. I would suggest that the biggest issue we have with suppliers who are reticent to get on the system is their ignorance about what the platform is and how it operates.